A elite satanista e pedófila, ao ver que seus objetivos genocidas não vão no ritmo que esperavam, porque a população já está despertando e descobrindo-os, querem acabar com a economia global para fazer a jogada final. E assim implantar sua moeda digital, que será um sistema de controle total de escravidão da população. Porque primeiro, farão um lançamento opcional da moeda digital, não obrigatório, com muitos supostos benefícios. Por exemplo, eles vão lhe dizer que com esse sistema, não vão roubar você, que sua moeda não vai desvalorizar, o sistema econômico não vai quebrar desta forma, mas na realidade, está associado ao QR Code, e acima de tudo, ao crédito social, assim como faz a China, com uma população totalmente submetida e escravizada. O crédito social é uma pontuação que será dada a cada cidadão, supostamente por bom comportamento, e serão atribuídos pontos a você, de acordo à sua obediência ao sistema. No entanto, qualquer coisa que não esteja de acordo com essas disposições, com o sistema e com o que os governos vão fazer, imediatamente tirarão pontos de sua carteira de crédito social. Isso significa que se baixarem de uma certa pontuação, a pessoa não poderá pegar nenhum avião, trem ou ônibus. Segundo vá baixando os pontos. Conforme perca pontos, perde direitos. Inclusive, tirarão o carro, a carteira de motorista, e em seguida, o levarão para um campo de concentração, seguindo exatamente as regras aplicadas na China. Embora a metodologia exata seja um segredo, mas pelo pouco que se sabe, as infrações que provocam a retirada de pontos do crédito social são os antecedentes criminais, viajar sem bilhete, fumar em áreas de não fumantes, comportamento nas redes sociais, publicar notícias falsas online, o tipo de compras online, desperdiçar o dinheiro em compras frívolas, comprar muitos videogames e passar muito tempo jogando, não pagar as dívidas, contaminar ou não reciclar o lixo, não usar máscaras, passar nos semáforos vermelhos, deslegitimar o governo com protestos e manifestações, entre outros. Ou seja, liberdade zero.
And if you notice, my country was the first where they made cash illegal. 2016, digitalization was forced on the country. 8 o'clock in the evening announced midnight, cash was illegal, the big notes. And 70% of the economy crashed. This digitalization is now going all over the world, and there's a war on cash. They call it war on cash because cash is merely a medium of exchange. It has no value in itself. It's just a promise. You read the dollar note, it says, I promise to pay the bearer. When it's digital, even a credit card, you're giving rents to the global financial system. But when it's cryptocurrency in the hands of algorithms, in the hands of big tech, they will do what is happening in China. Create social credit system to decide a new caste system. And you might have also followed that while all this has been happening, the founder of the World Economic Forum did a book called The Great Reset on how to deal with the COVID crisis. And everything we're seeing unfold is part of that Great Reset. But an element of that Great Reset is you will own nothing. Now, I'm a believer in the commons. And it would be so good if all land was a commons, if all seed was a commons, if food was a commons, if health was a commons, so that we had strong public health systems, strong community health system, deep knowledge about being healthy. But when Carl Schwab says, you will own nothing, he's saying we'll own it all. That's why you have Gates, not just owning the seed, wanting to own our food. One, of course, controls the health, and now owning land. If ever there was a time for humanity to wake up, now is the time.
As pessoas serão investigadas a fundo e monitoradas 24 horas por dia, para saber onde estão em todos os momentos. E se baixam a pontuação mínima, congelarão sua conta bancária. E vocês não poderão ir ao supermercado para comprar alimentos. E eles lhes dirão que sua conta foi cancelada, para que simplesmente morra de fome. Seria cair na escravidão total. As pessoas terão que dizer sim a tudo, e cumprir rigorosamente tudo que os governos dizem. E também em nível médico, aceitando até a eutanásia para si ou para os outros. Sua vida fica nas mãos do governo, se as pessoas não pararem com o lançamento dessa moeda digital. E as pessoas aceitarem, como aconteceu com a vacina, vão prender o planeta inteiro, ao estilo chinês.
The idea is that if you don't live your life according to the carbon Bible, then you'll lose your passport as well. And if you will have known that they are bringing out credit cards now that have a carbon limit. So they kind of work out the carbon impact. Carbon dioxide, by the way, the gas of bloody life, without which we'd all be dead, be no natural world. They have this card which says, once you've passed your carbon limit for the month, you can't purchase anything else with that card, right? And this is where the whole thing is moving. And eventually this currently vaccine pass, green pass, will morph into the social credit system of China, where your entire life will be dictated to by your behavior. And if you don't behave as the government wants, then you'll be excluded from society.
Including your universal basic income.
Yeah, including
perhaps.
your universal basic income. Right. We've already seen this, Brian. In Australia, they, years ago now, this was the precursor of what I'm talking about, they announced that if you're on benefits and you don't have your children, again, vaccinated according to the government schedule, then you lose benefits, right? That's exactly how this guaranteed income is supposed to work. You do what you're told or you don't get it. Oh, by the way, like I said earlier, where else are you going to get money to feed your family because the jobs are gone? So we have experienced in the last 2 years in our face the techniques of human control that have been in the shadows and much more subtle and people don't see them. It's been put on public display. And see, I said years ago, there's going to come a point where this agenda has to break the surface where people can see it. Because at some point, what they have been manipulating towards under the radar has got to break the surface if it's going to transform society. At some point, this transformation has to become obvious. And that's where we are. It's broken the surface. We're now seeing, well, more and more people are seeing, where this is heading. And it's heading into a level of human control via AI and technology that Orwell will be somewhere shaking his head and saying, God, I so understated what is happening. But in the end, again, the mathematics says we can bring an end to this. Whether human perception acts on those mathematics is another thing.
E enquanto a população aceitar, então vão o tornar obrigatório, como aconteceu com a vacina contra a Covid. No início, era opcional, assim como o uso de máscaras, os lockdowns. E uma vez que o povo aceitou submissamente, a vacina passou a ser obrigatória. Com o dinheiro digital será o mesmo. Por isso é muito urgente que os cidadãos lutem com determinação, para acabar com essa loucura de tiranos e ditadores globalistas, que querem subjugar a população sob uma tirania escravagista. O Dr. Joseph Mercola, médico americano, diz que é crucial que o maior número possível de pessoas rejeite o sistema de moeda digital do Banco Central durante a fase voluntária inicial. Uma vez que se torne obrigatório, não poderá ser interrompido, e todas as liberdades serão perdidas. Isso é muito urgente, porque o plano sombrio continua. Da mesma forma, a ex-banqueira e ex-funcionária do governo dos Estados Unidos, Catherine Austin Fitts, disse no programa de Tucker Carlson que a eliminação do dinheiro físico e a criação de um banco central de moedas digitais, CBDCs, é utilizado para controlar os cidadãos.
Catherine, thanks for coming on. So I think if you put this up to a vote nationally, most people would say, no, I may not use cash, but I'd like to have cash, because if there's no cash, then I have no control over my life.
So, Tucker, the one of the bedrocks of freedom is freedom to do financial transactions, including privately, or freedom to do where you want to do and wherever you want to do. And unfortunately, as the financial system has become more and more digital, you see more and more not only invasive surveillance, but more and more controls. A little bit like bringing up a corral around us, and CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, and vaccine passports or digital IDs are sort of the last shutting of the gate. It's hard for many people to imagine the risks here because we're so used to living with financial transaction freedom, and we don't understand that when this gate closes on us, we literally will be sitting in a system where the central banks believe that our assets belong to them, and they can dictate where we can spend money and what we can spend money on. The important thing to understand is central bank digital currencies are not currencies. It's a financial transaction control grid, and it gives the ability for the central bankers, and they've said this publicly, the ability to not only set the rules centrally, but enforce the rules centrally. If you don't behave, you can have your money turned off. I think it's very hard for people who've grown up and enjoyed Western liberty and human liberty to imagine literally that we're going into a system where literally our homes, our cars, our communities become digital concentration camps. So if you've enjoyed liberty, it's very hard to, perceive this iceberg before you hit it. And that's why it's so important, and I commend you for talking about CBDCs, because we need to not let the propaganda persuade us that, one, this is convenient, or two, that we need this, or three, we need to understand not only the dangers of CBDCs, but the opportunities if we start to reverse financial tyranny.